is facing several crises. We went through COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, but also war on the European continent. Now, Europe needs a better strategy on how to deal with crises of the future. And to understand that more, former President of Finland is with us, Mr. Sauli Niinistö, who has authored a report on how Europe can be more ready on the civilian front, but also on the defense front. He joins us now. Thank you so much, Mr. President, for joining us here.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure.
Now, looking at your report, you have 80 recommendations, a whole plethora of different recommendations. Where do you see the biggest shortfall and the greatest urgency for Europe?
It is mindset, attitude of just ordinary people. There are big differences how people see the situation. In Eastern border, I guess we have quite a lot similar experiences which also lead us to be more prepared for Russia. But I strongly believe to attitude of ordinary people, because in politics, in the end, that happens what people want to happen. And if people want to feel more secure, like there are good reasons for that. So that will happen too.
I think also you mentioned mindset is important, or that resilience. We mention that word a lot. I mean, the Finns have a very much clear and present danger on their doorstep. If we look also in the neighborhood with the Baltic states, with the Baltic line of defense, East Shield of Poland, do you sense that those kind of regions, those countries right now are more prepared? Is that mindset there? Can that be translated to other countries in Europe?
Mindset is there, but to transfer it, you have to keep in mind that the mindset of a nation, it's a combination of tradition, experiences from history, and just putting it at the table and saying, take this, is quite difficult. But there's another kind of element you find in southern parts of Europe, and that is that climate change is taken more seriously because, well, we saw huge floods in Spain, and earlier on forest fires, whatever. So the elements how you get prepared on civil side are very similar, whether it's a war or a threat of war or climate change. You have to be capable of keeping the central activities going on, the central infrastructure in condition, and supply people food, water, energy, just simple things. But not depending what is the reason of the hazard or catastrophe. We have to be prepared in a similar way to give answer to the basic needs.
And also, if we're looking at the current state of affairs, we have certain problems with governments. For instance, in Germany, we have certain, also looking at France, unsure of how strong that government is there. What are the lessons from when you look around, when you did this report, and currently defense is one of those key issues of that report. Who are the leaders in this right now?
I would take the Polish model here, because a couple of years ago, we, outside Poland, well, we were thinking a bit, we had worries about Polish domestic policy. It seemed to be quite divided. What you see today, when people have a common threat that unites, and in Poland I understand that security, peace are values which everybody will work for. Would that model work also in Germany or France? I don't know, but immediately if people really recognize the threat and the need of improving security, that gives a possibility at least.
And also, when you structured these recommendations, how has it been received so far? You're going to be talking about this a lot. This is commissioned by Ursula von der Leyen. This is going to be very much part of larger plans for the new commission when it's settled. How has it been received so far, and when can we see this kind of implementation go on?
how I see it is that, well, elections in USA, floods in Spain, they have increased now the knowledge of bad things might happen. And thus, I guess, I haven't heard any critics on strengthening the preparedness of Europe. And I hope that, I don't hope that bad things increase, but I hope that the wake-up call is there, at least that much, that we can go further with the proposals and finding a way to give an answer to those people who are worried. And those people, there are more and more.
But at the same time, we're dealing with certain countries, if we look at Hungary, Slovakia, players that don't necessarily have that same, let's say, attitude and same kind of values if we're looking at being ready for defensive action. So how are we going to overcome that challenge? Because there's still a lot more that needs to be done, and there see almost a kind of, let's say, fatigue in terms of common threats, recognizing common threats across Europe. How do we solve that?
I have a feeling that people in Hungary and Slovakia, they do appreciate, give value to security and peace. And it's very difficult to see a government saying that we don't care about security, because any of these proposals I'm doing is not in any way hurting those countries.
And also looking at the, let's say, near future, I mean, you yourself in the role as former president have had the occasion to meet many presidents, including now currently the designated new president, Donald Trump, returning to the White House. Can you give us some measure of the man and what his return to the White House could mean for Europe and European defense?
I met him several times, and I got very well along with him, because what I noticed is that his public speech, his appearance, it changed when you go to discuss seriously. I think that now it's most important that to understand that it's not only how Trump sees us, but how we see the USA, what we can say to USA. Once I met him and I decided to say to him that yes, you're right, Europe needs USA, but you need us also. And this is the message we have to deliver him. And for example, what happens in the BRICS countries, USA needs partners. It's very obvious. And I'm sure he understands it.
Yeah. Do you think that this report and the kind of conclusions and the actions taken by the European Commission and Europe as a whole will convince him to continue to support and be an equal partner with Europe on this?
First of all, it's very clear that the double members, that is EU, NATO members, they have to fulfill their agreement to NATO. And I have heard Trump saying a bit proudly that he was the one who got at least a clear majority of Europeans to pay their bill, like he says. So using this might be wise. Telling him that yes, we are doing what you are demanding, except we are doing only what we have agreed.
Also, during your time as president, it was a historic time also for Finland joining NATO, giving up neutrality that's been part of your country for a very long time, its whole history, really. Looking now also forward into NATO's future, do you sense now a greater understanding that Ukraine will join? Do you sense that enlargement for NATO is still a possibility? How do you see, as a new member state of NATO, the dynamics of a potential membership of Ukraine?
We have to keep in mind that membership both in EU and NATO demand unanimity. And that might be a difficult question. So difficult in that sense that we can be sure before that it's okay for everybody. But yes, I see that the future of Ukraine will be inside both the European Union and NATO, but how fast, that is a question.
From this report that you've put together here on, very much also directed at the civilian population of the people of Europe, what is your message here to European citizens across the bloc?
My message is that, yes, we are safe if we take this seriously.
So taking things seriously, being ready, resilient, very much, I think, a Finnish model as well, I think.
Well, or Polish.
Okay. Well, Mr. President, thank you so much. Really appreciate all this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. That's Sascha Fahrbach for TVP World at the European Parliament in Brussels.